human angle topic on family, marriage, peer pressure, drug and substance abuse, societal issues, women and children, and so much more. Now, it's crucial to approach these subjects with empathy and understanding. These issues often intertwine with societal norms and can lead to tough conversations. It is important to create a safe space for dialogue where individuals can share their experiences without fear or judgment. I am Jumai Manson. Join me every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on the program Inside Today on Global Television. When are you going to be pregnant? Why are you wasting so much time in getting pregnant? What is going on? Are you sure you and your husband are medically and physically okay? And can you have children? Why is it taking so long? 1 year, 2 years? Why is it keeping you both so long? Well, hello and welcome to Inside Today. I am Jumai Manson. Today we're looking at a very sensitive topic. Marriage is a journey and not a race. Let's stitch the countdown to parenthood. I am being joined by an amazing personality, my friend turned sister, Jacqueline Adebija. She is a communications specialist, head of programs in Victor FM, all the way from Kaduna State. Stay tuned, the program continues shortly. You are welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Today on Global Television. And like I mentioned before, I've been joined by an important personality, my friend turned sister, another person, that Jacqueline Adebija. And talking about marriage is a journey, not a race. Let's celebrate their love, not their timeline as parents. All right, good afternoon. Jackie, are you here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh my goodness, it's great to have you on the program. I'm so excited. All the way from Kaduna. Thank you for making our time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, let's talk a bit about marriage is a journey and not a race, celebrating their love and not their timeline. You know, a lot of people are very inquisitive to ask, you've been married for 6 months now, 8 months now, and I'm not seeing a bulge. What's going on? Is it right for me to ask such questions?
Absolutely not. But Juma, you have to understand our the culture that we have, who we are as a people. Naturally, Africans, particularly Nigerians, are a very communal people. And so your business is my business. I mean, like I read somewhere the other day, um, it's only in Nigeria that a total stranger will latch onto your face and say they want to pop a pimple for you. That's the kind of people that we are. I mean, someone that you've never met will just, oh God, this pimple looks very ripe. I want to pop it for you. And so maybe because, we are that kind of community, we are that kind of village, the tendency to ask incredibly personal questions comes up. And though I appreciate that aspect of us as people who are very communal in nature, we are village like we we see ourselves as one, we must come to the understanding that personal questions like that are not only embarrassing, particularly to a couple that are actually actively trying to get pregnant, but also could do some serious psychological damage to that home. And so it's something that I think really has got to stop.
But looking at it critically, like you mentioned, it's only in Nigeria that you get to find someone want to pop a pimple from your face, a total stranger, by the way. But don't you think it's part of our
Absolutely.
value, our custom to always ask, to know what is keeping so long? Not to talk about the pressure from the parents or in-laws, but the truth is,
Mm,
we're just
mm.
being Africans, don't you think? And don't you think it's our right to ask? And you should count it as a privilege that we're often concerned, don't you think?
No, 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 no. Now, here is the thing. From where we're coming from, talking about being a communal people, people who make everyone's business, every other person's business is my business. You need to also understand that some things have changed. Now, in those days, for a couple that might be trying to get pregnant to conceive, there were so many options. We were a people that when you'd be getting married in some cultures, it would be natural to have some of the youngest children in your family home follow you to your husband's house. So,
Very
in the
true.
first place, the house is never empty. Okay, you have someone, a younger brother, a younger sister, follow you to your husband's house. Or in some cases, the husband might have a younger sister or a younger brother come into that home. And I'm talking very, very young. In some instances, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, you have like a almost being handed a baby, a toddler, to take into your marital home. That's one. Two, you also need to remember that we are a people who are coming from a background of almost absolute polygamy. I mean, there's hardly anyone I know who would not tell you that my great grandfather had two, three wives. My father, even in some cases, has two, three wives. And now, what used to happen in those days was the woman who has been unable, for instance, if it were the problem of the woman and the man has been able to bring in some other women who have babies, those younger women, those younger wives would give their babies, maybe the first even, to maybe the first wife who has not been able to conceive. These were traditions and values that we had then. It is not operational or as much now. I don't think so. And so um that's permission, if you would allow me to use that word, that permission that we have as a people to ask, okay, so what's going on? We might have had it then because there were other solutions that could be had. That's not the case now. At least that's not what I see in contemporary times. That's not what is obtainable in so many homes. Many people are keeping their children more and more. Um, Even couples are having problems with, I would say, adoption. The last time I asked, honestly, people who want to adopt in Nigeria are made to pass through giant um, uh, hurdles, made to jump hoops. It's not as easy as we think. Okay. So, as a people, I think even the circle of people who can ask that kind of question should get really, really small. I mean, if the mother of the groom or the mother of the bride is asking, or in some cases, the father, one can understand. But when you are having friends and people who are not within the immediate circle of trust of such couples, I do not think we have any any ground on which to stand to be asking anyone, so when are we coming to eat rice? When are we, we do not really have the right to ask any couple, because that one question that you're asking could actually have a terrible ripple effect in that home that very day, because you really do not know what's going on behind closed doors. For those who follow reality TV, I'm sure you know about the program called Love is Blind, where people, men and women, just marry themselves after a few weeks. There was this particular couple in um, the first episode of this series. It's actually a series. I think they're in the seventh or eighth year now. The one that happened in the US, the first series happened during COVID, and nobody knew that they were really going through some difficult things. Even we need to realize that even IVF is not an easy journey. You're taking injections that are affecting your mood, your body. Every time you see your period, it's like you are cursed. It's a serious problem, and we need to become more emotionally intelligent about it. And nobody knew that Lauren and Cameron were going through a very difficult time. They had been trying to conceive for a very long time, but fans and everybody, we cannot wait to see a young, I forgot, Hamilton. I think that's their surname. We cannot wait for a small Hamilton and all of that, until they had to come out and say, look, we've been actively trying for a while, and we would really appreciate if people would really stop asking us about when we're going to have a baby. That in itself is even enough stress for a woman. When you put someone on, I would like to use the word high jump, you put people on a certain pedestal and you are asking them to perform. It's like asking someone, make love in front of me. You need to be, as people, we need to become more circumspect about the questions we ask people when they get married.
Truth
Really.
is, but the truth is, Jackie, I've heard all you have said, but the truth is, we are Africans, and it's our job. Will I say it's our job to be nosy? But it's only a way that we show concern. So how do we go about it when these individuals have been married for over 1 year, 2 years? How do you act? Do you just ignore? Because at the same time, when you ignore, it shows that you're not being supportive and you do not care. I don't know, where do we stand in all of this, really? Because if I ask a
So
question,
I'm
one
just
yet what's going on, or are you, because there's some individuals, because now people have evolved, they'll tell you I'm not going to have kids after 3 or 4 years. But when that is not the case, how do I show support without being nosy, without being insultive, without causing havoc in that particular home?
so how about we wait for people to come to us for help? Because sometimes in our being nosy, we assume that this person must need my help. Why don't you wait? Let the person come to you. I love your topic. Marriage is not a race. So who is to say that 5 years is enough into a marriage? Who is to say 10 years into a marriage is too long? If you want to get to know yourselves, you want to travel the world. Look, let me even now say something that might prove unpopular with our viewers. Sometimes having children early in marriage is a minus, not a plus.
Really?
Particularly if in that, yes, particularly, I mean, children are a blessing. Don't
Yes, they
get me
are. Throw
wrong.
more light on that,
But
Jackie.
every
I really need
situation,
to know.
right? So every situation is different. If, for instance, I meet a man in 6 months and we're married, you think it's going to be wise to start to have children almost immediately in six
Okay.
months? I mean, you could date yourselves for 20 years. And when you get into marriage, you find out that there are things that you really did not know about your partner. How much more a shotgun courtship where you had barely any time to get to know each other? You must give time to get to know each other. Enjoy yourselves. Be able to make love anywhere in your home. Be able to pick up your bags and say, you know what, and my leave is coming up. For instance, if you're working, my annual leave is coming up, yours is coming up. Can we make the thing come into tandem so that we can take a trip to Obudu, for instance? That is why, Juma, I think this particular hurry to have children, because somehow we have latched children, or we have made children become the trophy of marriages. This is why, for a lot of couples, when those children grow up and they leave the home, you find out that you're married to a stranger. You really do not have anything in common with the person you call husband or wife. And then this is where a lot of people go into midlife crisis, what we like to call the midlife crisis. You begin to see other men, you begin to see other women, simply because you really do not know this person that you've been married to for the past 30 years, for the past 25 years, because children became the focus. And because you didn't really get to know each other before you started to have children. You cannot even have a conversation anymore without one of the children's names popping up in between that conversation. It's like they're your conversation starter, they're your everything, frankly, everything. So look, children. Once again, I'm saying so that I don't get misconstrued by our viewers. Children are a blessing,
Yes, they
but
are.
there is no timeline to when you should start to have children. And after all is said and done, I think the X factor, which is God, comes into all of this. God knows exactly when to bless you with the children that you desire, if you so desire. If you so desire to have children, God knows exactly when to bless you with them. Okay? Marriage is not a race. Honestly, it's a personal journey that each and every person that gets married gets to go on. And where you get your pit stops, where you stop to drink water, like in a marathon, where you want to rest, even, is a very personal thing. There is no two journey that is alike. Everybody gets to go on a very personal journey that cannot be replicated because the two people in that marriage are so unique. There's no other type of um, there's no clone of those two people anywhere. So it's impossible to replicate their journey.
Jackie, I want to ask a question. I want to ask two more questions before we wrap it up on the program now. Now, how do people that newlyweds, how do they deal with the pressure from their parents to have children? That pressure of, oh, I want my grandbabies, I want to carry my grandbabies. Sometimes a man is actually pushed into marriage quickly because he wants to give his parents grandchildren. How do you create that balance? Because that's the norm, like you said, in our society, especially our African society. Children are the trophy. Once you have children, especially when you have the male children much more than the female, it's like a trophy. It's like a win in that marriage. They will tell you in the pigeon palace, your leg don't stand once you start having children, male children. But how do you deal with that pressure of grandbabies from parents that are all that pressure every single day? When are you having children? How do you deal with it, Jackie?
So I think, first and foremost, I would like to say this is why, as we have brothers, we have sons, we need to educate men and women, even, on our roles and responsibilities in the home. The man naturally is meant to be a protector, okay? And it is that man who must try. Because truth is, the conversation between a woman who hasn't conceived yet and her mother, her own mother, would be very, very different, usually very, very different from the kind of conversation that that same woman would be having with her mother-in-law. Okay? Many times, even the mother-in-law might not come to her daughter-in-law directly, but start to pressurize her son. So it is the job of her son, in this case, the man in the home, the husband, to protect his wife. I imagine myself that my son would come to me and ask me and say, Mom, I need for you to slow down on this because we need to get to know each other. I love this girl, but there's a lot that we don't know about each other yet. And I need this time for us to discover each other. Okay. And I know that you'd rather have me happy than unhappy. You'd rather have me married than divorced or separated. This is why we see a lot of separations, a lot of divorces out there today. The rates are high, Jumai, and we need to start to ask ourselves what role we are playing in the rates that we see of divorce today. As a people, we must become more emotionally intelligent, whether it's your son or your brother or your friend. Stop and think. It is not about what you want, it's about what they want. And if they want children and they don't have children yet, there is no way that you can be feeling the pain and, in some cases, shame and embarrassment as much as they are. So I think if we remind ourselves that as much as we love these people, there is no way we are feeling the pain or shame or embarrassment or all at the same time as much as they are, because they are the ones that are wearing that shoe. If we can remind ourselves about that, take a step back and wait for them to come to us, I think we'll be a better society.
Jackie, in one word, or will I say in two words, for someone, newlyweds who are going through this journey of when, when are you having children, all of these unnecessary questions, what do you have to say to them, especially the woman in the relationship, in the marriage?
Right. I would say hanging there. Um, I cannot begin to imagine what a woman who desperately wants to hold her baby in her arms and not at every month finding out that that dream once again has been flushed down the toilet. I cannot begin to imagine how she feels. I do not think any one of us who have ever had the privilege of having children can really understand what it is like to really want children and not have them. If we would only try to be more empathetic, try to put ourselves in the shoes of these people, just imagine that you're wanting to do something and you've been unable to do it for the longest time. Look, let me get a little bit personal here. I just, like I said, I cannot imagine because it's never happened to me. But one thing I do know is that I have very much, as a person, part of my life experiences has been that, look, people judge you based on how you look, okay? And many times, people have come up to me and said, oh, if only you would be a little bit, just trim down a little bit more, you would be, mwah. So what does this mean? That means right now I'm not, mwah, okay? And
Oh,
sometimes people
Jackie.
just talk like this without really knowing what you're doing to that person's self confidence,
Very true.
to their identity as a person. You don't know how much I try in the gym, right? And if you ask anyone who has ever tried to lose weight, they will tell you that's why some people go the way of having gastric bypasses. The Ozempic is there to